Welcome to episode 9 of the Universe. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Tristan.
We're going to start with the drama rundown, where we talk about a couple of shows that we're currently watching. So I decided that I was going to rewatch a show that I'd watched several years ago because I remember thinking when I originally watched it that it's just such a good comedy. It's a good show in that the characters that are portrayed are interesting, more realistic, and it strays closer to something like Search than any other kind of romantic comedy that you would see. Although, as Tristan's aware, I really do like romantic comedies, so I'm a little biased.
Wait, what show are we talking about?
So the name of the show is GoHo, Starry Night.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
It's one of those, I believe when it came out, it was originally like a Chinese web series, believe it or not. And it might not have been an actual Chinese series, obviously, because it's Korean, but it was produced, I believe, by a Chinese production company. And it's only 20 episodes, and each episode is barely 20 minutes long. Some of them are like 18 minutes. So it's super short. You can get through it in a couple hours. I say that, and, you know, obviously it takes a little bit more than that, but it's really good. The story itself is about an advertisement contractor who's unlucky in love. Her name is GoHo, and she works hard to be successful with her career and only thinks of romance as an afterthought. But one day, an old ex turns up, taking on the role of her new boss, and suddenly it seems like every single man in the company is in love with her. So I just want to say, before this bitch even comments that I don't like love triangles, I still don't like love triangles, but this one does it so well, and it's super short that you don't get all the angsty bullshit that you normally do from love triangles.
Is it a love triangle, or is there more than just the two guys?
So there's 4 guys that are in love with her. Yeah.
So it's even more so.
It's a love square. That's what we're calling it. We're calling it a love square. But it has amazing actors in it. Kwon Yuri is GoHo, and she is from Defendant. If you haven't watched that, it's a Ji-sung series, so I highly recommend it. It's a political series, so Tristan would probably hate it.
Probably.
It's also with Kim Young Kwang, who is the same guy from Sweet Stranger in Me. He is a fantastic actor, but for whatever reason, he doesn't get these like big series roles. He typically gets the like smaller web series or shorter series roles, kind of like Sung-hoon, which we've talked about on the podcast before. And then also Jobo Ah is in this series, and she's the same girl from Tale of the Nine Tails. She's one of the office workers, and it's super funny to see her there. So none of the characters in the show are not famous when they do it. All of these are weird, funny cameos, because at one point, Park Shin-hye actually shows up, Lee Jung-suk shows up. There's a whole bunch of actresses. The lady from Scarlet Heart, that's the daimyo, she shows up a few times. These aren't just like bit roles that they're getting. They just stuffed a whole bunch of like well-known actors that are playing these characters, and it's really cool. I especially always like when Lee Dong-suk shows up. I'm just saying, like, I'm here for like a bit part that's him for 2 minutes just coming outside and being adorable and smiling and doing whatever they want. So it's fantastic, and the cameos are really good. But that's not even one of the reasons to watch the series. So I would say the cameos are fantastic, and they bring a lot of interest to the series in general. The love triangle square. So the problem with saying that there's a love square is that I don't really count the Hubei or the gross old man. That would be Jungmin and Jinwoo, who literally just like the main character GoHo because they want to have sex with her. The Hubei, however, is so good. You guys, like, I'm here for the Nuna romance, and he tells her flat out, he's like, first he chases after her legitimately because he wants to sleep with her, but he legitimately chases after her, and then when he realizes that, like, truth is probably the best way to get her to do what he wants, he just flat out tells her, he's like, I want to sleep with you, and I'm good at it, so you should do it with me. He's like, and if you don't like it, that's fine, at least you tried it. And I'm like, I'm here for this kind of honesty in my series, especially when the Hubei is adorable. Jungmin is so cute. I was telling Tristan when I was looking up the actor, they missed a really golden opportunity to use like an idol, a K-pop idol.
They could have in that type of role.
It would have been so delicious. But, you know, the actor was super cute and adorable. And I just like, one of my favorite parts of the series is when the ex-boyfriend starts working with GoHo, and the ex-boyfriend doesn't seem to understand why it is that GoHo is so against one being on his team and working under him. She's against getting in a car with him, getting in an elevator with him. She doesn't want him in her personal space effectively. And the ex's name is Hwang Ji-jun. He finally gets to a point where he corners her and he tells her, you know, he thinks everything's being blown up by her and she's being ridiculous and that she should just get over it and move on with her life. And one of the reasons I love this series is GoHo looks him in the face and tells him, you know, you don't get to decide my level of comfort with you. That's something that I decide and it's my personal space. I'm not comfortable. And she tells him, you know, he's not the arbiter of her comfort level, which was exactly what I needed in a modern day romance, which I feel like K-dramas kind of gloss over sometimes, that women have their own ideas and for whatever reason, and I know why, but because it makes for a better story, right? And I get it. And sometimes it's okay, but for me, and this is one of the reasons that I like rom-coms, I like my women who, you know, are more realistic rather than the fainting princesses. I don't need Cinderella. I want more Mulan or Belle. And again, Disney princesses, not my thing, but that would be the best analogy against what I'm thinking here. So definitely one of my favorite parts. And then the only other thing that I really want to mention, what makes this series just so cute, is they call out other K-dramas, which is so great. In several different parts, she calls out all the dumb things that happen in K-dramas. At one point, she's like, I hate when K-dramas are like 5 episodes long where the guy just doesn't understand, you know, whether or not he's in love with the woman and he's like trying to figure it out and whether or not he should tell her. And then in the same episode, one of the main guys just comes out and tells her, I like you. And like, there hasn't been this whole like 5 episodes of angst. He's just like, no, GoHo, like, I like you. So it's such a good series and the characters are really interesting. You guys should watch it because the cameos make it. Like, I literally did not remember all the cameos being in there. And Park Shin-hye is so funny. She's a convenience store clerk, actually. And at this point, when Starry Night came out, I want to say it's a 2018 series, but it might be a little older than that. But at that point, Park Shin-hye has been in quite a few things. She's a very big name, right? People know who she is and they like her. I, too, appreciate her in several different series. What happens is GoHo walks in there. She's not having a great day. She buys soju and some like bar snacks basically. And she like goes to the corner of the convenience store to start drinking with this little straw in her soju and her little snacks. And Park Shin-hye like looks over and gives her like the thumbs up. Like, I got you, girl. Like, it's such a good moment and it's adorable.
That's her only part?
That is her only part. That's
Nice.
what I'm saying. Like, it's all just cameos and all of the cameos are super cute. And Lee Jong-suk plays like a model that's in it for basically 5 minutes. So I highly recommend it. It is on Viki for free because it's an older series, but you might have to watch it with commercials. It is called GoHo Starry Night.
So I, of course, inevitably started watching Word of Honor, which I'm waiting for Rachel to give me shit on because she has seen nothing but this show on Reddit over and over again.
It is literally like next to ATOT's 1,000 Stars. It is like, I don't even know.
Like, don't touch it, everybody will.
They put
like,
it on a
mob you.
pedestal, and like, it's this series that you don't discriminate against. They will jump you.
So I'm going to be honest, it's a great show.
Oh, brother.
So I'm not done with it yet. I'm about 20-something episodes into it. I think there's only like 30-something, which is way less than Untamed, because Untamed had like 50-something episodes. So way less.
So I legitimately think that she really just wanted me to write so that she could watch it in the background and make me see it. Guys, I'm telling you, I'm sitting there minding my own business and she's like, oh yeah, I'm just going to put on Word of Honor and you're just going to sit there and write and it'll be fine.
And I, of course, had to hit you every time they did something like, they're hugging. Look,
and then
watch.
I had to, yeah. And then every time they basically touched each other, I had to be smacked upside the head. And Rachel, look, they're touching. Yes, Tristan,
Yes.
I get it.
I get it. Anyway, I'm watching this, of course. It's now on Netflix. I also think it's on Viki.
I think so. I'm not 100% sure, but it's definitely on Netflix,
it's somewhere.
the United
It's
States.
Everywhere, yeah. So I'm watching it on Netflix. It is, of course, a censored BL adaptation, and the storyline is a little convoluted, so I'm not going to be able to like go through all of it because it's way too much to go through. But I will say, so the main characters are Zeishu and Kushing, and Zeishu is originally an assassin that was working for a prince, and he had his own secret organization. He was working also with his sect, which is the Four Seasons Manor, and all the people in his sect got killed. There was like 81 disciples, all dead, and he is the last one. And to pretty much make up for his sins, he decides to self-torture himself and inserts nails in his body that in about 3 years will cut off all the energy to his martial arts abilities, and he will die. Right? This is his penance that he's doing to himself because all of his sect is dead. So he's wandering around. He's put on a disguise so nobody can really know who he is. And he's wandering around the martial arts world. So he meets Wen Kushing, and Wen Kushing instantly is like, I'm going to follow this guy around. I'm going to flirt with him atrociously. Amount of time that he's on screen, he's flirting with him basically. And it's fantastic.
I don't believe you.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic.
It's not that I don't believe you that it's fantastic. You think it's fantastic. I don't believe you that they flirt and it's obviously a BL.
The flirting is obvious. So I don't know how they skirt around the whole soulmate issue. I think they explain a little bit of it. It's not necessarily a love thing. It's more of a, bonding type thing. So he claims him basically as his soulmate. And we learn very quickly on that Kushing is the chief of Ghost Valley, and he's pretty much out of his mind. So they wander around. Well, Kushing follows him around, basically, and they end up having to save this kid who is the son of one of the brothers of the Five Lakes Alliance. There are so many sext alliance things going on in here. So we've got the Five Lakes Alliance, we've got the Scorpion sect, we have the Ghost Valley. There's so many people. Like, I thought Untamed was pretty bad, but at least Untamed was color-coded. So you knew what...
That's funny.
You did.
That's funny, though.
You knew who everybody was with because they were all color-coded.
They made it kindergarten level easy for you to follow the story.
Yes. Yes, okay. They did. This one, not so much.
Gotcha.
Like, the main characters you get, but everyone else, I'm just like, I have no clue who this person is. Who is he following? There's so many betrayals going on, so it's hard to follow. So they save this kid, and now they've made a promise to get this kid to his uncle's so that he can survive because his entire sect was murdered, basically. And we learn that Wen Kushing has been manipulating things in the background and getting his ghost fiends basically to murder people because it's a good time. He wants revenge, and he's like, yeah, just go out and cause chaos.
This is your series.
I know. I love it. He is my favorite character, though. So, if that makes sense. Says anything about me.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So the two main characters are very much opposites. So Zeishu he does have the self-tormenting, I should kill myself because I've done all these things. You get that, but he has more of a moral sense of justice and understands the martial arts world and wants to basically help out humans. And Kushing is like, humans deserve to die. They're all evil. Like, we're gonna kill them all. And they get into fights about this because Zeishu sees that he is laughing at certain points of like the demise and the troubles that are going on around them. And he's like, why are you acting this way towards this? This is not something that you should be happy about. So they're at a point now, they've basically are on the understanding that they are each other's soulmates and they want each other to stay around and do well. We're slowly learning about Wen Kushing's past and who he really is because he was hiding his identity throughout most of everything. There's a lot more so with his backstory because Zeishu, you pretty much know him off the bat. You start off knowing who he is. and follow him when he's trying to hide, versus when Kei-Shin comes in and he's like, I'm just this philanthropist. You're not going to know who I am. I'm this good soul. There's this one moment where Zeshu is trying to meditate, I guess, so that he can heal internally his wounds from the nails that are going on. And he hears Wen-Kei playing the flute. And in his mind, he's like, oh, well, this particular meditation song, only someone of a good heart and pure soul can play this song. And in this instant, he's like, oh, well, then he's not such a bad guy. I can trust him. And then we're sitting here like, no, he's the chief of Ghost Valley. Like, he murders people and he's evil. How can he play this song? I like aspects of it more than Untamed, but I really liked Untamed.
I mean, I have more respect for Word of Honor than I do ATOTS.
That's not saying much.
I mean, at least in Word of Honor, the plot's interesting. Ooh, did I just say that out loud?
I get so much hate for that. Okay, remember, I like 1,000 Stars. If you need to hate someone, hate on Rachel because she doesn't like it.
I just need more than that. That's all I'm saying.
Moving on to things that we're watching together, because it's not Word of Honor.
Exactly. It's not Word of Honor, and I am so excited to talk about Doom this week because it's still by far my favorite show that's airing right now on television. It is unparalleled, in my opinion, by anything else. BL shows, because you know how much I love some Mork and P. I love Mork and P. And Roommate is really good, and I'm not dissing Roommate. I'm just saying that it's not Doom. I need all that mellow in my life. Like, all that melodrama, I need it in my life.
Well, so when we started watching the 2 episodes from this week, you had been spoiled on something.
Stupid Vicky. I browse on Instagram maybe once or twice a day, and I follow, on my personal account, I follow a couple of places that are Asian television shows, but I have had to unfollow Vicky now because they ruined the episodes of Doom for me. We literally only waited 2 days after the episodes were out, and they spoiled it for me. I was so mad.
Yeah, so when books come out, they put on it's basically a month-long ban on spoilers.
Right.
They don't do that for TV shows.
No, they don't. It's really annoying. And in Vicky's defense, as you guys have probably heard by now, I don't mind book spoilers when books are turned into television series. I don't mind those. You guys know I read a lot of BL, right? In long novel form. I don't read a lot of manga or manhwa anymore, but I read a lot of long form novel BLs, and I don't care about being spoiled there because the show's never going to do anything exactly the way the book does. Obviously, they can't. There's a lot of sex in BL novels, guys. Like, if you haven't read one, there's a lot of sex in BL novels. Like, they're romance novels. I mean, that's all they are. And so I don't mind being spoiled there, but I don't want to see spoilers from Vicky 2 days after an episode has aired. So I was really upset. That's my little angry synopsis right now, but whatever. It's fine.
Well, yeah, so whatever the spoiler was in that what you saw made you very angry and worried for the 2 episodes. Was it anxious?
It made me anxious throughout the whole first episode. It happened at the end of episode 1, which is really good, but it made me super anxious throughout the whole episode because I was like, when's it going to happen? Because
episode 7.
Yeah.
You said episode 1.
Well, the first episode that we watched is what I mean.
Okay, so episode 7.
Yeah. And, it made me really anxious, and I really was like not looking forward to it because it's a huge plot point, and we're going to talk about it. And so I really want to make sure that you guys are aware here that when we talk about what we're watching together, we're going to spoil things. By the time these shows come out, as we've mentioned before, these shows are probably long over these episodes and or off the air. So it may not be a huge deal to you guys, but there are major spoilers for Doom at Your Service at episodes 7 and 8. So I want to start with K-drama dads. Because this was like, in a lighthearted sense, this was probably my favorite part of the episode, is Lee So-hyuk's dad.
Oh, yeah.
When he went to him for money because he wanted to start his own company, Dad is so chill. I'm here for chill rich dad instead of chill terrible dad.
Chill
he's
terrible.
He's not chill
He's not
terrible.
chill.
He's just terrible. Like every rich family in K-dramas for whatever reason.
I was worried because when you have the scene from a previous episode where he's coming into the cafe angry, I'm like, he's going to be not all about what's going on with this.
So my thing about his dad is I saw it pretty clearly when they were having dinner several episodes ago. His dad has a really like generally relaxed interaction with Lee So-hyuk's character. Like he doesn't really overly concern himself, and they joke around a lot. So I had a feeling that, it would go better, but I didn't expect it to go as well as it did because it was just so good. So that was a nice change from K-dramas, but I know Tristan wants to talk about Dong-kyung and her moment with Lee Hyun. Because she adored this. She couldn't stop laughing and talking about it after the episode.
So there's a moment where Dong-kyung finds out that her best friend's ex-boyfriend is the owner of the cafe that her brother works in.
This is the swimmer that went to the United States and ghosted her.
Yes. So she saunters into this cafe and her brother's like, oh, what are you doing here? Blah, blah, blah. And she orders a drink and she basically is talking down to Lee Hyun the entire time and saying words that she's meaning something completely different than what she's saying. And she keeps saying her friend's name, but it's meaning a different word. And he's not understanding anything that she's saying because she's basically like, you ghosted my best friend. And
that is correct.
It was just a delicious scene for me. It was
a really cute scene. And I especially like to see Dong-kyung like sticking up for her friend, right? Her friend is kind of dopey. Like I love her. I love her to death, but her friend is a little dopey. And so seeing her stick up for her friend was really good and a highlight of the episode.
Well, the fact that her friend can't figure out who she loves, and yet...
I mean, I know who I would love, guys.
And yet Dong-kyung and her brother both are like, oh, you love, what's his name?
Both of them call her out and let her know, like, dummy, obviously you love the new guy. And I'm like, yeah, because who wouldn't?
What was it that the brother says? It's like, oh yeah, past tense, you wanted to kill
the other guy,
your ex, but you want to currently kill this guy. That means you like him.
I mean, I'm here for this logic. I see no problem with it.
I understood it.
Yeah, so it's super cute. And one of the things that I especially liked of this series was the amnesia arc that we got.
So normally amnesia arcs are a no-no because they tend to drag things out.
That's
super
correct.
Long when these
too
things
many
hit.
episodes of amnesia, and I'm not here for it. There's actually a series and I cannot think of the name of it, and it's not just one, there are multiple series, and sometimes this is people's jazz and that's fine, but it is not my thing. But there are multiple series where people lose their memory and that's the whole series, falling back in love with their original partner, and I'm like, I can't with that plot. It's just not my thing.
You don't want the delicious tension all over again?
So I was going to say, thematically, I like what happens is a reset, okay? And it's not really an amnesia arc. Thematically, I like the reset that happens at the end of episode 7 because I love revisiting all that delicious tension. I just gotta say, like, Doom being mean to her and, like, brushing her off as, like, a little pesky human is fantastic.
I mean, I appreciate seeing him as Doom again.
And Doom again. And being angry at these, like, disgusting human beings that, like...
Yes, like, punishing them.
Yes.
Instead of being all this, like, mopey, I'm in love, type person.
And then following that up with going to the deity and him saying, like, this was my favorite part of that episode, of him saying, there's not a single flower that I like. And the deity, this is after the deity had reset everything so that Dong-kyung and Doom don't remember each other. The deity says, there's not one flower that you like in the garden? And he's like, no, not at all. And it's such a great moment because, as you know, at the end of episode 8, he realizes that, like, well, she's different and she's somebody he kind of sort of remembers. So I absolutely love that part. After the reset, though, Tristan and I were really just waiting for one part. Just one part is all we wanted, right? Because, like, we made a GIF and we pass it back and forth. There's a GIF of the writer when Dong Kyung makes her little like bucket list of things that she wants to do in the last couple episodes, she says she wants to get the youngest writer's signature for one of her...
the writer with cancer.
Right. Mm-hmm. And so she goes to him and she, wants to check that off her bucket list. And so Doom sits in the back and he already doesn't like this kid because this kid is the one that kind of has an attitude about writing books and about being on time and doing what he's told. And so he had asked Dong Kyung to take him for tteokbokki. And Doom had assumed the identity of the tteokbokki owner of this little shop. And when Dong Kyung goes to sit with the writer again, Doom follows her. And if you aren't following the show, Doom is seen by people as not his real self. Literally, Dong Kyung's the only person that sees him for who he is. And so people see him in different ways, which leads to all kinds of funny happenings in the hospital that we probably won't ever talk about. But it's super funny in a nice little, like, lighthearted way that breaks up the melodrama in the series. But the young writer sees Doom sitting at the back and he's thinking he's that tteokbokki owner. And the tteokbokki owner has, like, an attitude already with the young writer because he's basically being mean to Dong Kyung. And Doom's not okay with it. She goes to the young writer. I can't believe I can't remember his name. I keep calling him the young writer, but she goes to him and she asks for his signature and he gives her a signature and he gives her some advice that is terrible advice.
And calls her Nuna.
And calls her Nuna, which was adorable. And then he walks out and Doom just stretches. The door is behind Doom, of course, and he's at the table right at the door and he just stretches his legs out and instead of being tripped, the young writer just jumps right over his leg and turns back around and calls Doom out on it. And Doom's like, what? My legs are long. And literally, it's one of the best moments of one of the prior episodes. So the young writer is fantastic. We give you this whole diatribe because we have been waiting to see the young writer and Doom meet up again after the reset because we just want to know, like, what's going to happen if they don't remember anything that happened prior, right? So Doom doesn't know why, but he's just irritated by him. Like, he just hates him. Like, and the young writer, too, is so sassy when he meets him.
Oh, yeah. So he pulls his mask down and is like, oh, you want an autograph?
And Doom's like, no, I don't want your autograph, you little shithead kid. Like, I want nothing to do with you. I keep calling him a kid, but guy's probably like in his early 20s. So
he's the one that's been in so much stuff.
So I'm talking about in the show, not the actor himself. In the show, the guy's super young, but he's just adorable. So that interaction was everything that we possibly could have needed, by the writer in Doom, because seeing Doom just get irritated by the writer is just fantastic. And also, Seungkook is he just has so many facial expressions that I just love. And like, you watch it across his face and it's really interesting. And like, when you watch him with Dong Kyung, you can see it in his face too. It's so funny going from an episode where he was super sweet and lovey to her to these new facial expressions where he's like, his brows are tightened and his mouth is pursed and he's like irritated by her. And it's so good. And Seungkook is such a great actor. And one of the reasons you should watch this series, but literally the writing is so good that I would recommend the series.
One of my favorite parts was when Doom is chasing after one of the bad guys.
Right? In the
parking deck. And Dong Kyung is like, sees him and what's going on, and then sees that, like, Doom sees her, and she just slowly she just goes out of view behind a car.
Like Doom doesn't know that she's still there. Well, and so that leads into a great point that Dong Kyung is sitting there. The whole reason she's in the parking deck is because she's lost her bracelet. It dropped when she was in the parking lot. And so she is trying to grab it underneath the car. Now, this is after the reset. So Dong Kyung is not supposed to know or have any connection with that bracelet because the bracelet was made for the contract between her and Doom.
Well, Doom asked her where she had gotten the bracelet, and she's like, correct. I don't know. I just feel insecure when I don't have it on.
That's correct. And they also have a moment in the elevator where they're kind of like trying to... Tristan's theory was that the contract wasn't broken, And I agree with that to a certain extent because Doom in the elevator or on the top of the roof, like she says, she thinks in her head, like, I wish doom upon the world. And he like instantly reacts to that thought that she has or that feeling that she has. And you can see the like gears turning in his head where he's trying to figure out how he thinks that this is still a valid, because he makes the point, he's like, I can grant your wish. But then he's like, wait, you can see the gears. Like when he says that, he's like thinking like, how can I make her wish come true? I can't. He doesn't say anymore, but you can tell he's like trying to figure out how this fits into whatever's happened.
Because the whole reason of his wish is that he can grant a wish to someone on his birthday.
Once a year. So it is not his birthday any longer. And he does not understand why he has this thought in his head that he should be able to grant her wish.
Well, that, and so the moment in the elevator when she's in pain and she reaches out and touches his hand and the pain stops, like that shouldn't technically still have happened if there was a reset.
So I agree to a certain extent, but I also think that he could have influenced the pain whether or not the contract was in place.
But I mean, but why would he have?
He wouldn't have. And that's the real reason that we still think the contract is somehow in place, which is kind of crazy because that leads the question to, did the gardener not clean up enough to where things aren't really reset?
I think she purposely didn't reset certain things.
So I gotta say, I have not been a fan of the deity. Like,
No.
She's not been my favorite character. She's a really well-written character. The fact that I don't like her is good. I'm just saying, like, I'm not a big fan of her. She seems to involve herself too much in what her flowers are doing. Not here for that. And I think I agree with Tristan. I'm not sure that she's the one that screwed up the reset. Wasn't that what you said? Or you think she did screw up the reset on purpose?
I think she did it on purpose because I think she's doing it as a test for the flower that she's growing in her pot, right? We saw that it had grown after Doom realized that there was a connection, right? So I think that she's doing a test because I think that flower that she's trying to grow is some type of relationship or a change on Doom and his character, or the relationship between him and Dong Kyung.
So I will tell you what my theory is.
Okay.
I think what's happening is the gardener isn't actually the one that's influencing the flowers in any way. I think she's just taking care of them to make sure that they're blossoming and growing. So if we're going with the whole deity thing, I think maybe we're getting to a fate kind of thing. And I don't think she has control over some things. And that's why they still remember things.
So it might be that she did the reset to see if they would still make the same choices.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because she's not sure what would have happened when she reset. So she did it to find out what would happen, if they would still go back to each other and still remember, or what would happen. And then that scene at the end of episode 8 where she watches the pot and she sees her flower blooming, I think she realizes that like some things are just fate. Like you
meant to be.
Meant to be. And that's my take and that's my feeling on it, but I'm not 100% certain because the deity's been all over the place. The gardener, whatever you want to call her. I much prefer calling her the gardener because I think the analogy is really cool and I love Doom as a butterfly. It also plays well into the theme song at the beginning because there's a butterfly that floats around in the theme song. And I just love it.
We were saying that this was 7 and 8.
No, it was 11 and 12. But I will tell you that the next 2 episodes are going to be the Heartbreakers. So that's 13 and 14. And then they have to finish it off. So as a note, it sounds like we've been talking about Doom at Your Service episodes 7 and 8. What we should have been telling you is it's Doom episode 11 and 12, actually. So sorry about that. We got our notes mixed up a little bit. Moving on to something that's a little bit more lighthearted. BL, as always, makes our day is, of course, Fish Upon the Sky.
So this episode, can I just say, so in one of my favorite scenes was in Doon's mind, of course, when we get to see
dirty little boy.
He is super. I need it to be canon that Mean is a top.
I think that's so funny. Like, I need them to just be switches and I'd be happy too. But on that note, like, Mean is such a good character. And like, Doon doesn't deserve him, I just want to say.
Well, not after what happened in the bar.
Yeah. So you should never force people to do things that they don't want to do, but especially one of my biggest like no's that's like huge problematic for me is people forcing you or pressuring you into drugs or alcohol. No, I draw the line. Like, and alcohol as well as drugs. Like, you want to do it because you want to do it, not because other people want you to do it. And forcing Mean to try and drink that shit, I was like, nah, I'm good here.
So it almost seemed very out of character. Like that entire scene.
Yeah. I don't know what was going through his head. He's talking about wanting to make Mean an adult. And I'm just thinking, is this some kind of like, I want to see what happens when he's drunk? Either way, it literally doesn't matter what he was thinking because it was wrong. And I was really upset because I advocated for Doon. I think he's adorable. I've called him a little jerk, but I've advocated for him because he's not bad character. He's a little misguided and apparently a playboy, but I mean, with Mean, he's obviously better. And this whole scene was not my thing.
Well, so he told Mork that he felt like a better person.
Because of Mean.
Yeah,
exactly.
So that's why I'm just confused with that whole entire scene.
Exactly.
It of course didn't need to happen, but I just don't understand why he would have done that.
Yeah, it's super strange. And I will tell you, I'm glad that they sort of broke up the episode with the hungry joke with Mork and P and the glancing at P's groin. Like, it was such a strange little commentary. I get it. It was supposed to be kind of like a lighthearted moment in all the other crap that was happening in the episode, but it was just so strange. I did really like the moments where Mork was like grabbing P on his knee. Those were adorable, and I could have done for more of those.
And it doesn't help that P wants to keep their relationship a secret.
It does not.
So,
but P wants to keep his relationship a secret because he has insecurities about literally everything. And I'm going to say it one more time. If I didn't say it last podcast, I'm going to say it here. He should have told Doon about Mork. If there's one person in the series, and I'll tell you again, I think Doon treated Mean like a little jerk, and I don't approve of what he did. But when it comes to Doon as a brother, I think Doon is a really good character. He obviously loves his brother. He takes care of him. And I feel like P should have said something to Doon about Mork, and we wouldn't have had that whole first part of this episode. This was episode 11, of course.
But I appreciate the fact that we got the scenes with Mork and Doon at Mork's house.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because now we get Doon being super respectful to him.
My brain immediately thought, well, obviously this Doon keeping P away from Mork isn't going to last very long because Mean's brother is Mork. So obviously that wasn't going to last very long. I'm here for the super respectful Doon to Mork about P. So that was adorable. I want to say a lot of people on Reddit are talking about how they still don't really like P, and they're talking about how they think that there's no way to really wrap up everything that's happened in one episode because P's character is so like stunted emotionally. And I do agree to a certain extent. I do think that P is stunted, but I don't think that he needs like 5 more episodes to realize like he's enough for Mork. Mork has literally been telling him since day 1 that he's enough for him and that he likes him. It hasn't been like this passing fancy for the last 2 episodes. Mork's been telling him all along, you're it for me. You know, my heart beats faster, your heart beats faster, my pulse speeds up. We have these moments like Mork has been building his confidence throughout the series. So I disagree that we can't resolve everything in an episode. Am I bummed that I'm not getting a lot of the really cutesy moments between Mork and P? Absolutely, because Mork's been hands down, next to Win, like one of my favorite characters. I like my honest men. That's what I want. I don't need this. I love Off Gun, but I don't need that for 20 episodes. I just don't.
I appreciate Mork just in general because I think he understands P's insecurities, and he keeps trying to tell him like, focus on me. Don't worry about what other people are thinking. And we're getting more of P's side of that, and telling that he wasn't jealous looking at him and Bam on Facebook, it was
he didn't think he was good enough for him.
He didn't want to seem unworthy and worthless when he was next to Mork, which is heartbreaking because you should never feel that way when you're with someone, especially if you love each other.
That's correct. And I know I've said a lot about Fish Upon the Sky, but it's because legitimately I just really need more characters like this, like Mork in series, because I need more characters like Win. I need more characters like Mork. These are people that are honest with their feelings, and these are the things that I want to see in my BL series. That ending scene of episode 11 was literally my favorite scene in the whole series. So Tristan's favorite scene, I think, is the theater scene where Mork eats the popcorn out of P's hair.
I mean, if we're talking just about cutesy scenes, yes. That's one of my favorites.
And I like the scene too. I'm not saying anything bad about that scene. I love that scene. I'm here for the fan service and the adorableness that these two characters bring to the show. But Mork in the bathroom telling P, I'm okay whether you want to tell people or not. I just want to love you. I want to love you without caring what people think. I want to hold your hand without caring about the world. And then he ends it with, but everything's up to you. I didn't say anything because I respect your decision. And that's what makes a good character. All these other BLs literally need to learn from Mork. This is a well-written character that's interesting. I just don't know why we need these like really two-dimensional, cruddy, shitty characters that we've been getting that are 20 episodes of trying to decide whether or not they're in love with somebody else.
I think, and this is a generalized statement, and it does not include everything that's going on, but we're getting more quality BL characters. If you think about Mork and Nubsib especially.
Yeah.
We're getting better characters that, consent is a big thing, and they respect their partners, and they have more of an understanding, and the communication between them is just a lot better.
And Nubsib and Jean are fantastic characters as well. You know, Nubsib is a little manipulative only in the beginning to make sure that he can force Jean to see him as something other than a brother. So also a really good character. These are how I want to see my characters in BL series. And it might just be an age thing. I don't really read yaoi manga or manhwa anymore. And it's because, I'm almost 40. I just don't have time for it. Some of it's okay. I have stuff that I still go back to every once in a while, but I would much rather just read long form now in a novel form. It's much more interesting to me. But characters in yaoi manga are a little bit more free to do whatever it is they want. They don't have to worry about consent. They don't have to worry about a whole bunch of different things that, in my opinion, doesn't translate well to television series. So, talking about television series and one of Tristan's favorites, My Roommate is a Gumiho. So, this bitch trying to tell me that Roommate's almost as good as Doom. I can't even with her. I
said it was a smidge under. Don't, right there. Because it's just so in these last couple of episodes, so skipping over most of episode 7 because
there wasn't a lot. There was so much that happened, but really the big major plot point was he finally took Foxbead back.
At the very end. Very end. So he is telling her, I've known all along how to take this out. You won't remember any of this. It was a heartbreaking scene because she's, of course, crying. And he is trying to do this to protect her because throughout the entire episode 7, he was trying to protect her from this previous fox that had turned into, what did they call it? It wasn't a ghoul.
I mean, it's basically a ghoul.
Basically. So he thinks that the only way to protect her from this point is to just take it out and
protect it himself.
Well, and keep her from being associated with him, essentially. So that episode was already heartbreaking at the end. We're just like, that's
And I want to
great.
make a note. I did like learning finally what happens after the 1,000 years with the foxes, because they kept alluding to something happening, but they never fully explained what was going to happen. And so finally learning that, they're going to turn into this ghoul spirit, evil spirit thing, if they don't get to turn human, was interesting.
And they said that the ghouls still think that they can steal other marbles to
and become human.
Continue to become, which I don't think it's true. They just believe that
That's correct.
can happen.
Right.
So anyway, so the ghoul, blah, 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 tried to steal bead. It's just skipping through all that. He takes the bead back, and next episode, we learn very quickly that she remembers everything. And I made the comment to Rachel beforehand. I was like, yeah, it's probably because of her mom, who we learned was very strong-minded, and his magic, like mind magic, didn't work on her. And so she's, of course, breaking down and crying at school, which was heartbreaking anyway. And then, what's his name?
Sun Woo
shows up and still very respectful of the fact that he can't
and that's my
think
thing.
she likes to be touched. Like, tries to pick her up from the bag. So it's a good...
It was a good scene. I'm disclaimering it here. He still doesn't get a pass for the bet, and I'm still mad at him, but I liked that scene, yes.
Yes. So still respectful of the fact that she doesn't like to be touched, stays with her while she's crying, and we know that she is heartbroken, but she's in the mindset of like, well, he did this because he only kept me around for the energy, which is what he told her.
So to expound on that too, I think that part of that is she doesn't really know what happened with the true love that she saw the demon pretending to be.
Right.
So my thought process is in episode 8, she assumed maybe that he took the bead because he found his true love, or he
the reincarnation.
He realized that there was a reincarnation of his first love from, hundreds and thousands of years ago, not thousands. And so my thought is maybe Dam just really thinks that, he's back with somebody that he loves. There's no proof of that yet because they didn't go into that literally at all. We have no idea why Dam has not said anything to him.
Well, right now, she is pretending not to know him.
That is correct. Even as he teaches her history class, which was so dumb. I was so mad at Tristan. I don't know if it was a translation problem, but she's taking History 101, but she's a sophomore in college with a history major? Why is she in History 101? So I'm hoping that it's a translation problem and not just like a writing problem. Also, Sun Woo is in the class. He's a senior. Why is he taking a History 101 class? So anyway, that was a fun little blooper that I'm hoping was literally just translation problem. One of my favorite parts of the 2 episodes was the honesty with Dam towards Sun Woo.
Oh, yeah. So
despite everything that had happened.
Well, so he finally, of course, tells her, he's like, you're probably the only one that doesn't know that I like you. And immediately she's just like, this is another game. Why is this happening? Why is he saying this?
Right.
And so he continuously tells her, it's like, I'm not playing around. Like, I really do like you. And it does not take her long at all to pull him aside and be like, I like someone else.
Right. Almost immediately, actually. She finally accepts that he's confessed to her, and she's like thinking in her head, we can hear her thoughts, of course, but she's thinking in her head, like, why? This doesn't change anything. Like, why are you telling me this? They get back to the school from eating, and she thinks about it some more, and then you see her follow him into the building, into his classroom, and she tells him, I'm sorry, but I actually like somebody else. And I really appreciate it because it makes Dam more of a realistic character in my mind, right? She's not some dumb female lead that has to string along like multiple men to move the plot forward. So I really appreciated that she was honest with her feelings despite him being a jerk. He's apologized and he's told her that he really does like her. So, can't be bitter forever.
I mean, it's you.
I can be bitter for a while.
Yeah, you can.
I really can.
No, but it was a good scene outside of the fact that Fox Dude was listening in on the conversation and now thinks that she's in love with her best friend.
That's such a way, like, he's so dumb. I love him, but Woo-Yo is just so dumb. He legitimately didn't understand why she was mad about the niece thing. Then he didn't understand why she was upset about the family thing. Now he thinks she's in love with her best friend, who she obviously is not in love with. So it's just so dumb. I love him, but he's an idiot. Sometimes he's dumb in delicious ways, and Sun Hae is dumb in other delicious ways. I'm just gonna say they're both dumb in certain ways.
Well, so Hae-sun is the scene where Jae-jin meets up with his ex and they're in the restaurant.
That bitch.
Hated her character. Like, I'm sorry. If you were dating someone who didn't like me,
It would be a problem.
it would be a problem because whoever you date has to like your friends.
Yeah.
I mean, don't force them to. If they don't get along well with your friends, there's probably a reason that that's happening.
So in my mind, it's not a reason to just automatically dump somebody. If they can't even make nice, that's the problem,
Yes.
right? If they can't even be civil, then there's a problem with that person.
Like, that's an attitude problem.
That is correct.
You don't
And
need
I
around.
can't, yeah, and I can't deal with that. Like, you don't have to be best friends with my my lover, but you have to be civil and adult enough to
Yes.
have a conversation without, going into whatever it was that Gina was going into. She's an awful character.
So it made it all the better that with Hae-sun around, Jae-jin was finally able to stand up to her and be like, I'm not canceling plans that I've already got just because you say so. Like,
Exactly.
I needed him to stand up for himself. And I think with Hae-sun next to him, he was finally able to do that. But
I need Hae-sun and him to just get on with this love story they got going on because they're
I mean, actually
adorable.
kiss without him like turning her head
Oh my
away.
god, she's dumb. Like, he put her in a chokehold. So she's not good with idioms. She just doesn't get them. And so I don't even remember what he said.
They were talking about getting their story straight, but there's a separate way of saying it. It was like, let's not do the assignment, but make sure we have our story straight from our own lips so that, we can fake the assignment.
Right. And she took that as, well, we need to kiss. And so and he kept saying, yeah. Because he's thinking, she's trying to figure out how to get their story straight. And she's thinking, well, we need to kiss. And so she leans in to kiss and he puts her in a chokehold. Because, that's what guys do when a pretty girl leans in to kiss them, I'm sure. I love Hae-sun. She's such a good character, and the more I see her, the more I just need all of that in the rest of the series.
He thought she was even more so cute after that because he's like, oh, she really doesn't understand what I'm saying.
And then he was super sweet, and he like
explaining it.
Yeah, he was explaining it, and he was like, yeah, you could tell in his mind that like he was, I don't want to say talking down, but he stopped using the phrases that might have been misunderstood.
And he did. He said one thing and he's like, let me rephrase this.
Right.
So I think their relationship, if they start dating, could be super cute.
It could.
Because he's going to be able to do that for her. Like, anytime someone says something, I could see him just turning to her.
And explaining it.
Rephrasing it.
I'm here for that adorableness.
I need that.
Yeah, please. So that's episodes, what did we say? 7 and 8.
7 and 8.
Of My Roommate is a Gumiho, and it's a great show. That's the one that's on iQIYI. I say that, and when we originally started talking about this, I told you that it was available for free on iQIYI. It is not available for free on iQIYI. I think it has commercials on some of them, but you can't watch all of the episodes. However, it is now on Viki a week late, so you can watch everything up to the 2 newest episodes that are released on Wednesday and Thursday, I think it is.
Yes.
So if you want to check it out, I would check it out on Viki. That's Viki. I know we talk a lot about Viki, so definitely check that one out. And I don't think I Promised You the Moon is on anything other than Vimeo, right?
For international, yeah.
Yeah, for international fans, you do have to watch it on Vimeo. It's, I think, they $5.99 per episode.
I think so. Yep.
So we watched episode 4 this week, and it ends next week with episode 5.
I'm not going to be emotionally ready for this.
Oh man, the Thai fans were so upset. Apparently, I read a whole bunch of notes. Ob did an interview. I don't remember what the interview was. You search for it on YouTube, but he did an interview where apparently he's getting like hate notes and death threats and stuff. And dude's just taking it in stride. Ob is of course the guy that plays Jay, and he's taking it in stride, but I mean, his character is pretty awful.
Well, so we talk about, and you said this earlier, is that when you can hate a character so much,
he's doing
they're
it well.
doing it well. Like, and this is not a good analogy, but it's like the King Joffrey of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Like when you hate a character so much that you hate them in real life for playing that character.
It's exactly like that. Because from what I remember for Game of Thrones, wasn't he getting like death threats and stuff sent to his house?
Yep.
And that was one of the reasons that he decided not to be in entertainment anymore, I want to say. So like, it's exactly like that. Obe literally did an interview. So you should search it out on YouTube. But Obe has done an interview about it, talking about like the fan mail that he's gotten for the series.
I mean, I can understand why I did not like his character after we realized, and I know you pretty much picked it up.
I did, because when the director was talking to him, and she's not the director, she's like the
teacher.
The teacher director of the drama faculty. She was telling him, like, you know what you have to do, and she was kissing him, and the way that she was speaking to him and indicating to him made me think, oh, she's basically suggesting that he should manipulate Tay. Jay should manipulate Tay's feelings to get the feeling that Jay wants for his play.
So the entire scene, like, okay, so we already established in the previous episode with the longing glances that Tay was giving to Jay, you could tell he was getting very, I don't want to say intimate, but he was getting in that mindset. It's like, oh, I'm attracted to this person.
Right.
So when they did the workshop at the end of episode 3 and he kisses him, I was like, shit, that's not good. So we finally get into this episode, and after the play, he's talking to Jay and he's like saying, oh, well, I think of you as Fang, who is the girl that is his counterpart in the play. Jay's like, no.
I did all this just to get you to do a certain emotion in the series. So Reddit doesn't seem to understand, and I don't want to just call out Reddit because I'm sure it's multiple places, the Thai fans and other BL fans. Again, I don't consider this a BL. I Promised You the Moon is more of an LGBTQ series. I would highly recommend it for anybody that listens to our podcast, even if you don't like BL series, it's not BL. But you need to understand that Tay is a victim as well.
Yes.
He is a victim. He did wrong. And he should have owned up to it to OAO. And I will always be upset with him for that. But he is also a victim. And what Jay did was not right. So Jay manipulated Tay into doing what he wanted. And it backfired spectacularly on Tay. And like I said, I'm going to keep saying it for those in the back. Tay is a victim as well. It doesn't give him a pass. And I'm not saying, OAO should just take him back because it wasn't his fault. That's not what I'm saying. OAO and Tay should definitely not get back together. I have been saying that since the beginning of I Promised You the Moon. You should not end up with the first person that you sleep with. That's a life experience thing, though. And if you're young and you fall in love, there's a small sect of people that are going to message us that are going to be like, oh no, I fell in love with my high school sweetheart and we've been together 5 million years. I am not going to fight with you guys. You are absolutely right. There is still a very small sect of people that fall in love with the first person that they've ever been in love with and they stay with them forever. There's nothing wrong with that. I just don't think that that's the majority of society, and especially do not think that Tay and OAO are a part of that demographic.
With everything that was going on, it was good to see the variance of after effects. So we get Tay talking to his roommate about how he doesn't have anybody to go to, that OAO was his only friend and his closest friend, and he did not have any of those deeper connections with anybody because he basically just worked towards his studying. And with OAO, you get to see that he has support around him with the friends that he has made. And he has that connection with people that, like, he stayed over at Q's place, that they came over once he finally went back to his own apartment and they stayed with him. They were hugging him, comforting him. Like, those are the things, like, you get the dynamic of it of...
This is why I say that OAO and Tay shouldn't be back together. You have to have an identity outside of your relationship. And in my opinion, Tay did not have an identity other than his acting outside of his relationship with OAO. And that's the problem. It isn't that I'm totally nihilistic and think that no relationships that start from high school last forever. That's not what it is. There's several factors here that are working against Tay. One of them being he does not have an identity outside of OAO and outside of acting. And when he realized that, he was sort of lost. It was kind of depressing in my opinion. The scout that came to him at the end of Jay's show and said that they wanted to talk to him about a new show that they were airing on television. I had a feeling when that happened, the first thing that was going to be said was, oh, you need to clean out your Instagram. I had a feeling. I said it only moments before it actually happened, but I had a feeling that that's what was going on because it seems the only logical way that Tay moves forward, in my opinion, is that he just becomes this persona of the actor only and has no other part of kind of identity. I keep saying that word and I apologize, but I really do. I think that's a problem with OAO and Tay's relationship. I do.
Well, I think in the next episode, because in the preview, it seemed like we're going into workspace.
Right.
And it might be that OAO is doing either an internship or it is actually after college. Right. I'm not 100% sure yet. But we're going to be able to see how they have blossomed on their own.
Exactly.
I guess. And if they have blossomed, because I don't know. We're going to get to see Tay, hopefully, as his actor self in whatever pathway he's chosen. And then I'm assuming the advertisement pathway that OAO has chosen.
I want to say here too, I hope for a Paradise Kiss ending, to be honest.
So you want Bass to come back?
I mean, sure, I want Bass to come back. That's fine too. Like, if that means that OAO would get the kind of relationship that he needs, I think that's worth it.
I mean, I could either see that or maybe even Q or someone completely different.
She just keeps making Q gay, and we don't know, at this point, we don't know that Q is gay.
I think they would be really good together. I'm just saying.
We don't know that Q is gay.
We
just
don't know.
FYI. So, I Promise You the Moon is very good. We're going to be so sad to see it go. It's so heart-wrenching that two shows that we love will be ending next week, which is Fish Upon the Sky and I Promised You the Moon. So we didn't talk about last episode what we're also watching Why Destiny now. And the reason we didn't talk about it is because we told you guys that these episodes are in twofers. So it makes more sense to talk about them after the 2 episodes have aired. So that's what we're going to do. So you'll hear it kind of every other week, I guess, because we'll watch both of them and then we'll review. So we watched episodes 11 and 12.
You mean 13 going on 30?
Oh, she's right. I haven't even seen 13 going on 30. But she's right. I know the trailer, of course.
Yeah. It's the basic principle of young kid wakes up in the older version of themselves. This one, I don't think was executed as well. And I say that because there was so much that could have just been scrapped from especially episode 12. It was a lot of flashback or like, let me reminisce about this thing that they said 5 seconds ago over and over again.
What really upset me is I don't want flashbacks of Sat's life with Top. I don't care about that guy. If that's the guy that we're going to scrap and go back and fix, I don't care about him, and I don't need to see. Just knowing enough about the relationship between Sat and Choke was enough for me to say, okay, I'm done. I don't need to understand more reasons why we shouldn't see, Saturday's life or his life without Choke. Like, I don't care. What we should have seen was more after he fixed the timeline.
Yes. So I will say the writing for this one
wasn't as good.
It was not as good. And I think that the plot points of it were just not strong. They were stretching. And I say that because when Choke on Valentine's Day was like, oh, well, we've spent these last couple of days, weeks,
now
whatever
all of a sudden
together.
I have a boyfriend.
Yeah, by the way, I said yes to this person. I'm sorry, what were we doing for the last couple of however long we were doing stuff for? You don't go around kissing someone and doing other things with someone if you have this other person in the wings that you're going to be dating.
Exactly.
And that kind of bothered me on a writing standpoint. I get they used it as a plot device to get Sat to be sad and walk around lonely with the Gundam thing.
So I want to say that I give Choke a very small pass in that I think the boyfriend thing came up because Sat was weird. There were several moments where Choke tried to push him.
Oh.
And Sat was like, no, like, I can't. He ran away. But that was also the 13-year-old boy inside of his mind, or 11-year-old boy.
In my mind, I thought it was because he was having all these flashbacks of what he did prior to getting back together.
That's not the way I read it. So that's,
Yeah, so I read it as like he was flashing back to all these instances where he was sleeping around and knowing that he might not actually be that great of a person. Right. And I don't think he wanted to bring that into that relationship.
No, I could see that. I could have read the whole thing wrong. These two episodes just weren't comparatively, like, I was not a fan of these. Like, I wasn't a fan of 1 and 2, but I like episodes 1 and 2 better than I like these 2 episodes.
Oh, that's saying something.
Yeah, because episodes 1 and 2 aren't great. I like the guy that plays, it's Monday. We don't know. We're just guessing here. It's Tuesday. Sure.
Tuesday was in episode 1 and 2.
But we did watch the Why Destiny special that was Puth and Kang, because it's the Why Destiny special that we didn't know we needed. Actually, I feel like I knew. I knew that I needed it.
Everybody on the internet knew they needed this.
I'm just saying, I live for Puth and Kang calling each other Pappy and Daddy. I'm sorry. I am here for every second of that special. It was so good. And Copy A, Bangkok, is the production company.
They know what they're doing.
I am telling you guys, if they don't really strongly consider giving First and Toru, who are the actors that play Puth and Kang, if they don't strongly consider giving them their own series, and I want to see more Puth and Kang, but if they don't consider giving them their own series that might not necessarily be Puth and Kang, they are freaking crazy. Just absolutely crazy. These two actors are so good and deserve their own series. I can't with them. The both of them, they're so professional. The both of them are so good that for their first series, this is their first series for both of them. The BL, I should say, as far as I'm aware. And please correct me if I'm wrong, but this is their first BL. And they blew it out of the damn water, the both of them. And last we checked, the views on the Copy A, Bangkok, and the Ace Play was at 500,000 views. That's 500,000 views since it came out. And when last we checked, that was like a day after it had come out.
It was
if
like not that same day.
If not that same day. So that is insane. 500,000 views in 1 or 2 days. That's insane. I'm just going to say they're crazy. And the director teasing more content from them is everything that I could possibly need. I just need more of whatever's going on there. We didn't even talk about the special. We just talked about how much we love the characters. I love that was our review.
So quick synopsis. In the prior episodes of Puth Kang is getting texts from someone that you don't know who is. And we learn in this one that it was Puth all along texting him. So at one point he's texting him, is like, oh, you haven't been texting me because you must be happy right now, right?
He's trying to see if he'll...
Yeah, and Kang's like, I have something to tell you. And so he comes out of this on and he's like, I have a boyfriend. And he's like, what? It's like, no, I've known that it's been you this entire time because you text with periods at the end of your sentences. Like, that's the whole purpose. It was a cute episode. That's the basics of
the whole episode.
But it was cute and well needed.
I mean, I just needed them dating.
They had a whole sequence of just going out and having a date. And it was super cute.
It was super cute. They were like at a night market where they just hanging out and Kang was hanging on Puth. And it was so good. So it's everything that I needed. But if we're talking about what we need in a second season for Why Destiny, let me just tell you, this is what I imagine. I need everything up to the Why Destiny stuff. I need a prequel of Puth Kang.
Oh, like how they became fuck buddies?
I shouldn't say that.
How they became sex buddies?
I don't need another Fiat Leo series where I have to see it after they're together. I don't care about the relationship afterwards.
Well, I don't know if that's going to be what that is.
Yeah, that's true. I'm just bad-mouthing it because I don't know. But I need a prequel for Puth and Kang. I need the whole, and I need Team and Mun to be in it, okay? No, Tristan doesn't like Monday, but I love Monday, and I need Team. I feel like there was somebody else in that little Dangerous Liaisons group, wasn't there?
Nua.
That's right, Nua. So I need all of them to just be in there as side characters and Puth and Kang be the main characters. That's what I need.
I really don't want Monday in there, but whatever.
Whatever. I just need...
He was just too cute.
Well, so a prequel would mean that Monday wouldn't be in there, right?
That's true. Yeah.
A prequel would be like them doing... Basically, they would be doing Dangerous Liaisons.
No, they would be in there because...
No.
No,
so...
Because
I guess you're right.
They start interacting because
Correct.
of Monday.
Because Puth asked Monday what it was that...
Kang asked
Monday what it is that Puth liked. And that's where he got all the ideas for the glasses and whatever else it was that he told
so
him.
their whole interaction started because Team and Monday started dating. Or
Puth lived
trying
with
to date.
Monday. So that would make sense that Monday would be in the series. I love Monday and I have no problem seeing him again. Tristan doesn't like him because he's just overly sweet and adorable.
Yeah.
She needs more evil characters. It's fine.
I do. I need that sass and...
It's true.
I
it's
do.
true. I mean, I do, though. I need a prequel series for Puth and Kang. And if I can't get a prequel series, please don't give me a sequel to Puth and Kang. Please just write them in new characters.
I was about to say, because what we're probably going to end up if it's an elongated episode or series of them together, they're not going to be together because something's going to arise from their past of people that they slept with. I don't need that.
Yeah, I don't need all that. I love where they are right now, so I need Puth and Kang as a prequel so that I can see how all that they got there, because they condensed it so much because the series is 2 episodes for each character's couples. So they condensed it too much, in my opinion. They had to, the way that the format of the series went, and that's fine. I'm just saying that if we're talking about a series for them, copy A, I need an entire prequel series for Puth and Kang. So I talked about earlier that we are ending 2 series next week, and that will be
Fish Upon the Sky and I Promised You the Moon.
I want to kind of give a little precursor to what it is that we're going to watch next, because we're going to watch 2 shows that aren't currently airing, but I want to talk about them because I want to talk about the one that I suggested to Tristan because she hasn't seen it, and then Tristan's suggesting a series that I haven't seen. We're only going to do 1 episode a week because we are going to have other things that are going to start popping up to watch, and hopefully at some point we will get Ken Porsche. And
so when that comes out, we're doing an entire episode of just Ken Porsche.
We're doing an entire episode of just Ken Porsche. We may just do a mini episode, to be honest. But the likelihood is that we will do something special for Ken Porsche because we've
been waiting for it.
Everybody's waiting for Ken Porsche. So, but back to the series that we are going to start. We're going to start Love Me If You Dare and
The Gifted.
We're going to do both seasons, if I'm not mistaken, of The Gifted.
Yes.
So we'll do Gifted and Gifted Graduation are a tie series. It is
I would put it as supernatural.
Okay. And then Love Me If You Dare is a psychological thriller. Those are the 2 series that we're going to replace for I Promised You the Moon and Fish Upon the Sky. So if you could change one thing in one K-drama, what would it be?
I only have one?
Only one K-drama. I can tell you what mine would be.
Oh, you thought about it? Okay.
Yeah, I thought about it because it was getting on my nerves. And it's so recent, too, that I feel like you guys are going to know what I'm going to say.
Is it that Boon Prim didn't get enough time?
We're talking about K-dramas.
Oh.
But I mean, I would change the ending to Tale of the Nine-Tailed. I would kill off most of the male leads in that series, and I would be happy.
So, yes.
Yeah.
The ending, so when he sacrifices himself at the end, that should have been it.
That is correct.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
That series makes me so angry. It could have been so much better.
The ending to Scarlet Heart.
Oh, yeah.
And I know we've talked about it before, but it's one of those ones that it deserved
a second season.
Well, yes.
So I don't know if I'd change the ending so much as I'd just give it a second season, and that would have fixed everything. But the Chinese second season was so bad, so I don't know how I feel about that. However, if we're saying that the second season is terrible, then I would agree. Like,
all I need is them meeting up in
that
modern day.
Extended scene in the stupid museum is what I need.
Yes.
Agreed.
But I would have been perfectly okay with that. It was such a heart-wrenching ending. Like, just give me just a little bit more, even if it was like 2 minutes. That's all I
just
need.
needed a happily ever after, and I wasn't going to get it for this series.
So that's probably what I would change.
Such a good series, and unfortunately, like, they just wanted to break our hearts at the end. It's still a good series. They
At
just
the
broke
end,
our
you
heart.
mean like
Throughout the whole
the entirety of it?
Yeah. The whole ending,
The
like the
whole
full,
one.
yeah, the whole end. Before we end the episode, in other news not necessarily related to dramas, we've got some food for thought.
Of course, by the time that this episode comes out, my information that I have is going to be so outdated. But I'm super excited because 2 p.m. is, of course, having their comeback after however long.
Forever.
I'm so happy. They have their teaser for it is out and they're all looking so fine. Especially Taechan.
I was going to say, doesn't Taecyeon still work in the K-drama industry? So I assume he whatever. He keeps himself good looking.
Yes, he does.
Whatever.
Well,
Taecyeon.
Anyway, so 2 p.m. is having a comeback as well as Ace, who is currently dropping, by the time we're recording this, they're dropping their photos for their new album, Siren, and they look so good. I have already purchased all 3 versions for pre-order of their album.
Because of course she has.
Of course I have. So I'm super looking forward to those. I don't even know what the song's going to sound like, but I'm here for all of it.
I don't even know what I would do with comeback for any of my old K-pop bands. Because legitimately, like,
Are any of them still together?
That's a good question. So, I mean, Big Bang is still together. They just...
Are they?
I mean, Top doesn't need to Big Bang. Like, let's be real. Like, Top doesn't need Big Bang.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I wanted to talk about, speaking of my music, I wanted to talk about the soundtrack to Doom because I am so in love with Eileen's song. It is insane. I make Tristan listen to it like every other freaking day because I love this song so much. It's the one song that they play throughout the series. Eileen's voice is just so good, and I think it's breaking down. And if you look on Spotify, it's on there. They just added, Baekhyun has a...
Called You.
It's called You. And
Just the letter.
It's so funny too because like we were watching the series and we hear his falsetto and both of us are like, oh, that's Bacon. It's fine. Like, it's Bacon. Sorry. He's always gonna be little Bacon to me. Okay, so he's adorable. And again, like he has an amazing voice as well, but his voice goes so well with the series. It's super heart-wrenching. But Eileen's song, no.
And I'm not usually one for female singers. It's a really good song.
It is such a good song. And the soundtrack in general has just been a huge winner. The music for the series in general, not just the soundtrack, but the theme music, the whatever they're using as background, like it's all just been so good. And I highly recommend if you haven't heard Breaking Down, it's so good. It's Ailee. That's Ailee, I believe. But again, just look up Doom at Your Service on Spotify and you should be able to find it.
Yep. A good OST can make or break a show.
It's true. It's very true. But that's our show for tonight, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for joining.
Talk to you later. Good night.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of The Nooniverse. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to subscribe. Want to learn more about the show? Follow The Nooniverse on socials so you can stay tuned for future episodes, special announcements, and much more. See you in the next episode.